with anyone. I could be with anyone. You're here with me. You're here with me. You could be around with me. You could be with anyone. I could be with anyone. You're here with me. You're here with me.
Let's get it. You know the biggest problem I have with 90 Day Fiancé, especially in this single life tell-all, there will be characters, cast members, or significant others to cast members whom I don't like. And one of the people on the show will do something that's so egregious and so ridiculous that makes me have to come forward and defend somebody whose actions I don't like. That's where I find myself when I think about Natalie and Josh and their situation. Now, I was going to put together a whole bunch of clips and try to explain the clips, but I'm so past that, and I'm frustrated at this point because of the fact that as I'm sitting here watching Natalie try to prattle on about this story about how she's such a Ukrainian girl and she is human and why is she getting treated like this? And she went out to LA to try to hook up with Josh. Everything in my being is telling me, like, Natalie, you're full of crap. That's not why you went to LA. You didn't go to LA for Josh. You went to LA for an opportunity. You thought you were going to be in movies. You thought it was going to be easy for you to get in magazines as a model because you're so pretty. That's what you were telling Michael when you came from the Ukraine to Squim. You couldn't be in Squim, Washington, because you had to be in LA, bro. You had to be in Miami. You had to be somewhere where the hot people were because you were too pretty to be on that mountainside with him. So you left him after 6 months. After you were married to him for 6 months, you walked out the door on him. Went down to Miami. He was footing the bill for you to be in Miami. And you were okay with being in Miami. But then you meet Josh and his little business cronies who are running a little scam, flim-flam operation where they promise people who come in and want to get into the entertainment business or a pathway that they can get into the entertainment business, knowing full well that that's not how shit is done. That's not how you get into movies. That's not how you get on the TV. You don't go to a meeting, meet an agent, meet a casting director, and say, hey, how you doing? And he just automatically looks at you and says, I ought to put you in movies. I'm going to put you on the cover of my magazine, Vogue. That's not how it's done. You have to have a manager. You have to have an agent. They have to have a job available. And then you would submit yourself to be submitted to that job. Once they select you, if it's a big job, there might be maybe 5 or 10 people. If it's a decent sized job and you have a nice body of work, they run through your resume, they run through your headshots, they see what you've done, what you haven't done, what your experience is, and then if they like you, they call you in, and then they give you an audition. You try out. They might call you back. You might have a call back or whatever the case may be. Maybe you get hired on the spot. But you are going to have to do those necessary steps. That's not what Josh and his people are teaching these folks. Oh, we're going to get you a headshot. We're going to get you some pictures done. We're going to put you in a meeting, and then you're going to have meetings about the industry, but they don't have any connections to the industry, which is illustrative of the fact that if Josh had all these connections, then Natalie could have gotten an agent in Miami where she was living before she came out to LA. She could have been submitting to work while she was in Miami in LA. You don't have to, like with the technology now, you can submit self-tapes and self-tape auditions online all day. All day. You could be sitting on the moon and do a damn audition. You don't have to be sitting in LA to do an audition. It helps if you're there because you can get local talent. They don't have to pay to fly in and none of that other stuff, pay for accommodations. But that's what it is. Now, the thing that really gets me is, like I said, she sits there and she makes a big deal about how she's a human and everybody's sitting there nodding their head. Yeah, she's a human. I feel so bad for Natalie. What cracks me up is that if it was one of these other foreigners that came in to the country, hell, you had Chantel sitting there defending Natalie. Oh, she's sitting here by herself. She needs a friend. Your husband was here by himself. He didn't have any friends here. He didn't have any family here. The only people he had here was you and your backstabbing ass, crooked ass family. That's all he had here, crazy ass family. That's all he had here. But nobody is sitting there saying that, oh, he came here from nothing and he didn't have any money in his pocket. Debbie, she's sitting there defending Natalie, hollering at Josh because she doesn't like Josh. Oh, you're using her for the boudoir. Your son did the same thing when he brought his girlfriend over from Brazil. Colt did the same thing. Larissa. You weren't sitting there talking about Colt need to pay Larissa money. He needs to take care of her when she moves here. He needs to put her up in her own place and provide for her. You weren't saying that. You were telling him the whole time he needs to put ass on a plane and send her home because she's trying to harvest the American dollars. It's just funny to me that Natalie sits there and cries about this, sings the same song and cries the same tears that so many of these other people cry and say when they're on the stage, and they are belittled, they're berated, they're cussed out and everything else. But all of a sudden Natalie doing this okay. And let's face the fact, she also said something that burned me up when she said it. I'm a Ukrainian girl. Lady, you are middle-aged. Stop. Grow up. And then you talk about how unfair it is that you going after this guy because he's not submitting to your will and doing everything you want. It's not fair. That's life. Mike could make the same complaint. But Mike, he's a grown-ass man, Doc. Get over it. You keep putting yourself out there for Natalie and she keeps using you and she keeps taking advantage of you. That's too bad. So sad. Sorry for you, bro. And I say the same thing to Natalie. You're trying to throw your leg up on Josh so that he can get you some movie roles. Bro, he doesn't have, first of all, you're wasting your time because he don't have a pool to get you into anything. If he could have got you into something, he wouldn't be paying the money out of his pocket. That's the first thing. Hello. If he could get you into a movie role, he could get you work, he wouldn't be breaking you off from his business. And his business people wouldn't be saying, yeah, I talked to the accountant and they say that you forwarded money to Natalie. We paying for your girlfriend. It's ridiculous. There's also the point where at some point we can't walk on both sides of the street. I take the position that women have control of their bodies. They can decide who they lay down with and who they don't want to lay down with. But with that great power comes great responsibility. You have to take responsibility. If you're laying down with a guy or you're dating a guy and he won't take you home to meet his family, he won't take you out and let you meet his kids, he won't bring you back to his house, he'll take you to the Red Roof Inn and knock you off instead of driving you 5 miles to his house. Then that lets you know where you are in that relationship. Chantel, she asked you what the status of the relationship is. The status of the relationship is she's been dating him for 2, maybe 3 years now, and she hasn't been to his house once. She has no idea where this dude lives. Because you can't tell me, and I say she has no idea where he lives, because you can't tell me if Natalie knew what this dude's address was, she wouldn't have pulled up in her car. There's also the point where when she broke up with him and she didn't get in touch with him until she got in a car accident and she needed money. Then all of a sudden she started calling him, and that's when he could start coming over and knocking them bottoms down. Come on, y'all. I'm just saying. Can we just be honest about the 90 Day Fiance franchise? These folks will sit there and the cast members tend to be on the cast member sides. And everybody else is screwed. And that's the way they've been running these tell-alls this whole time. Let me know what you guys think. I know you guys are probably fired up about this tell-all. Let me hear it down below. If you guys want, share the video. Get the word out. Help me out with the algorithm. Hey, that's my take. I'm James. This has been My Take on Reality. And I'm out.